Well, it's certainly no secret. This band is my favourite death metal band of all time, the mighty Morbid Angel, and cannot wait for the band to return to our shores very, very shortly. But for a very special tour, they'll be playing their record from '93, Covenant, in its entirety, which is a monstrous record. Still stands up today when it comes to all the other billions of new generation death metal bands sort of gracing our planet. We do have frontman Mr. David Vincent from the band on the line to talk to us here on andrewhogue.com about the forthcoming tour and what has been happening in the camp of Morbid Angel. G'day, David. Welcome to andrewhogue.com.
Thank you so much, sir. And it's good to speak to you again. We're really looking forward to visiting your shores once again. It seems like it's been an eternity. And we always enjoy coming back and seeing all of our friends and meeting new friends and playing Morbid Angel music for the masses.
Well, the last time we spoke, it was pretty much on the verge of the Elude record being released, and I only actually heard one or two songs. Now, obviously, that record certainly had very, very mixed reviews, and I know in several interviews that yourself and Trey have made no apologies. It's something that the band felt they needed to do. How did you guys deal with such criticisms from diehard fans who, considering that the band's got such a lengthy career in the forms of extreme music, mainly death metal, that some of these fans were just so frustrated that wanting to keep you stuck in that sort of place? I mean, talk us through on the reactions and how the band, I guess, dealt with that.
It took some people by surprise at first. It's very interesting looking back, over a year later now, and a number of people said, I've listened to it a little more, and because it wasn't what they absolutely expected, which was another very good reason to do something, to keep the artistic integrity as pure as possible. But, Morbid Angel has always been a band that's been all-encompassing. And when people sort of think that they know what it should sound like, I don't think anybody knows what we should sound like more than we do. So we always include stuff. Again, it's not like it's that big of a departure, because on the Covenant record, we did some collaboration with the Slovenian band Laibach for that record. So it's not like it's a big change for us to work with sort of some electronic artists and to do some interesting things in and amongst everything else that we do. So I'm pleased that people have come around to it. We've had interesting comments really throughout our career with each record. After putting out Altars, and when we went to Blessed, people are like, "Oh wow, this is different." Well, of course it is. And then Covenant was different from that. So these are things that we expect, and we continue to do what we do. And a lot of people are grateful that we have done what we've done throughout the years. Everyone has their favorite things, and everyone has the things that maybe are not their favorites. But I would imagine that it's that way with any band out there. So that's my story.
Now, obviously, we know, pre-internet, there was always a couple of reviews in magazines and things like that. But I think today with the internet just magnifies a lot of people's criticisms enough to people, for people to be heavily affected by it. I know a lot of bands get affected by certain websites and flack from fans, old and young. I presume that the band would just switch off from that and keep focusing on making Morbid Angel music that suits them.
Well, this is what we've always done. We don't look outward for inspiration. We look inward. So, sort of writing to the, sort of wayward and short attention span tastes of some listeners is something that we've never even considered doing. And I think, when I listen to bands, I mean, there's stuff that I like, there's stuff that I don't like, because I'm obviously a music fan myself. But I look at, sort of the portfolio of stuff, and a lot of times I hear something and maybe it doesn't hit me the first time, but maybe upon subsequent listens, it I finally understand it, and I get it and I enjoy it. So this is how it works with art. I walk through museums and I don't like every painting necessarily. I wouldn't put them on my wall, but I appreciate them sort of in the whole scope of the visual journey.
Well, I mean, for the fact that we are in information overload these days, and again, I'm thinking, well, it's obvious now there's just such more shorter attention spans than ever before, that you're right in certain circumstances that some things don't always hit on the very first listen. But I think to the point of the amount of saturation of music out there, I think it's hard to judge whether people actually go back and revisit certain records purely because there's another 10 or so to check out, and to the point where things aren't always given the time of day or even revisited. What's your take on adapting to where the I guess the music biz is going, considering the band's career and changes over the years, and still at it as a highly active and prominent band in the scene?
Well, I think that we're lucky in the sense that, obviously we've been doing this for a number of years, and we're, we kind of were in the game before the game changed. So this is something that I think has helped us. I don't know what sort of advice to give to younger bands, because it really is difficult to, gain a following, because there are so many bands, which is not a bad thing. I mean, there's always been a lot of bands, it's across all genres of music. But it is a bit more difficult for, say, younger bands to get out and actually be heard and garner a following that's going to, net them the ability to, go out on tour and travel the world and, do some of the things that we've, Morbid Angel has been fortunate enough to do. So I think with this sort of, plugged-in digital world that we're in now, it's a new frontier. And there's the same things that we could say, well, short attention span, and there's a lot of negativity that we could find about it, but I think it's also positive in that a band doesn't necessarily have to go into sort of a mainframe studio and spend, $50,000 recording a record when, they can nearly make a record on their personal computers. So I think there's an opportunity for that. And there's also an opportunity to get your music out there. That there's a lot of new channels where sort of the days of a record company are the ones who have not adapted have really gone by the wayside. Major labels, things are just not as they used to be. So, but that's an opportunity to do more rather than have to sign some kind of a crummy record deal that literally turns, artists and musicians who are only trying to share their music, it turns them into indentured servants. And now I think with the internet being the way that it is, it's a lot more accessible for a lot more people. Now, you still have to be good, and you still have to work to promote yourself. But, I've heard all kinds of new stuff that I'm really keen on.
Well, let's talk a bit about the newer generation bands, because as you mentioned, anyone now can pretty much create a 50 grand sounding record in their bedroom. But I think it's something I discussed with Tom Araya from Slayer, a while ago, about it's also a bit of an illusion on the internet. Once it's out there, it's like, well, really, how's it going to stick? Because there's so much more choice now for people to, check things out, and they're not always going to be finding them. Sometimes things get their attention. But as far as bands bringing stuff new to the table, we know there's a billion offshoots now within the genre. But looking at, the history of Morbid Angel and the intensity that's still there in the music over that amount of time in your career, do you think some of the newer extreme bands are bringing anything new to the table aside from, I guess, utilizing the amazing trickeries of studio software?
Well, listen, I listen to music. I don't know if everyone listens to music the same way that I do. So I can only speak for myself, but you know, I listen for a song and an intent and like emotions. And if I hear that, then chances are I'm going to like it. And, you know, that would go across. It's not genre specific. So I think if people, you know, are able to, sure, everyone hears things that they like and they're inspired by it, but I would always encourage bands to, you know, let your inspirations be what they are, but don't try to sound like someone else, because that's already been done. And chances are you're not going to do it better than the person who did it to begin with. So I would always encourage people to, you know, find your own sound, explore, you know, listen to yourself rather than every other band that you want to sound like. Sound like you. Figure out who you are and sound like that. And that's the best advice I could give anyone.
Well, let's check out those tour dates. Of course, you will be here on the 22nd of April in Brisbane at the Hi-Fi, the 23rd in Melbourne at the Hi-Fi, and in Sydney at the Metro Theatre on the 24th as well. We can get you to choose your favourite song from the Covenant record, of course, performing it in its entirety on this up-and-coming Australian tour, and such a godly record it is. So try and choose one track at least out of all the good ones.
Well, why don't we choose two? And the two that we made videos for that MTV begrudgingly loved because of their wonderful fan response. How about Rapture and then Into God of Emptiness?
I think we can accommodate, no problem. Well, thanks for your time, David.
And thank you for yours, sir. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Likewise, let's check out some Morbid Angel now, right here on andrewhogue.com.